In the previous lessons, we explored how changes propagate and how governance stabilizes transitions across connected capabilities. But over time, many organizations start recognizing another pattern. The same instability continues returning even after remediation and change activities are completed successfully. This lesson explores why that happens and how governance controls help organizations move from reactive stabilization toward continuous prevention across the data and AI environment. Let's imagine a situation you may eventually recognize quite quickly inside your organization. The same reconciliation problem appears again after another release. The same reporting inconsistency returns even though remediation was already completed previously. Operational teams continue performing the same manual correction month after month. And honestly, after some time, governance professionals usually start feeling that something is fundamentally wrong underneath the surface. Because the organization is no longer simply resolving isolated issues. It repeatedly stabilizes the same instability patterns again and again. This is usually the moment when the perspective starts changing. The real question slowly becomes different. Not how do we fix this one more time, but why does the environment continue allowing the same instability to return? And this is where governance controls start becoming extremely important. Validation controls help organizations recognize inconsistency early in the life cycle. Approval controls help governance assess propagation exposure before deployment begins. Monitoring and reconciliation controls help detect instability before it spreads further downstream into reporting controls or AI environments. This is one of the biggest governance maturity shifts organizations eventually experience. Stable governance is not built only through remediation and transition activities. It's built through controls that continuously reduce the probability of instability returning across connected business and data management capabilities. By this point, you can probably already feel that these capabilities are deeply connected operationally. Issue management, change management, and control frameworks do not operate as isolated governance activities inside mature organizations. Issue management helps governance recognize instability when the environment no longer behaves as expected. Governance starts seeing where operational exposure, inconsistency, or recurring patterns begin emerging across the connected capabilities. Change management then helps organizations stabilize the transition itself. Propagation becomes more controlled, coordination becomes more structured. The organization moves more safely from one operational state into another. But over time, governance usually starts recognizing another important realization. Constant remediation and repeated stabilization eventually become an extremely expensive operation. Organizations naturally begin looking for ways to reduce instability before it spreads in the first place. And this is exactly where control frameworks complete the picture. Controls help organizations verify consistency earlier, strengthen traceability during transitions, and monitor operational behavior continuously across the environment. So the relationship between these capabilities becomes very practical. Issue management helps organizations recognize instability. Change management stabilizes propagation and transition activities. And control frameworks help reduce the probability that the same instability returns repeatedly over time. And in the next course, we will move deeper into the design of data and AI control frameworks. and explore how organizations operationalize preventive governance mechanisms across connected business and data management capabilities. If you are interested to move on with your career development in data governance, I invite you to join other courses of the Data Crossroads Academy. If we haven't met yet, my name is Irina Steinbeck. I'm a strategic advisor and coach who finds clarity in complexity, and an author. My work focuses on governance frameworks for data, metadata, and AI management. What drives me is simple: turning complex concepts into practical, actionable strategies. I've been working in that data field for more than 16 years. Before that, I built my foundation in business consultancy, controlling, and project management. That background shapes everything I do. I always approach governance from a business perspective, not just a technical one. Over the years, I worked with global institutions across many different industries. Each experience taught me something new about what works, what doesn't, and why governance efforts so often stall before they begin. I found Data Crossroads and developed the Orange Data Management Framework. It's a methodology built on a real-world application, and I've shared it through 5 published books. I've also taken this work to international stages, workshops, keynotes, and conferences around the world. Everything I do is pragmatic and methodology driven, and that's exactly the spirit you'll find throughout this course.